All right, all right. Hello, everybody. Somebody put in the chat that you can hear me just to make sure the microphone is working. I'll be looking for your answer before I get too much further. I got to open up the chat so I can see. Welcome, everybody. Glad you're here. This is the February 24th. Thank you, Chip. This is the February 24th meeting of the Flipping America RIA, now 30 chapters nationwide and over 10,000 members. We are glad you're here. Thank you so much. Joel is in the green room. We're going to get started with him in just a moment, but first, a little preliminaries. Let's just dive right on into the announcements, shall we? Hit the right button here. Services. I asked Joel, who should come to this? He said, anybody that pays taxes. But seriously, anybody who is a small business and you're looking to pay the least amount of taxes as possible. And that's coming up in just a couple minutes. All right. Okay, now I hit the space bar and it works. Time for the pledge. Everybody stand, put your hand on your heart, and let's pledge our personal responsibility to our life and business. You ready? When I look in the mirror, I see the reason, the credit for my successes, the blame for my failures. I cannot make it without my team, and I tell them often, but when they succeed, it's because I chose well and I led well. When they fail, it's because I did not choose or lead well. I am the reason. I may have setbacks, but I cannot fail if I don't ever give up. You got circumstances, I got circumstances, we all got circumstances, but you won't find me under mine. My situation will not dictate my emotion. My circumstances will not control my results. External forces will not take away my power to choose. I cannot change the world, but I can change me and the way I relate to it. So I charge on. I am the reason. Okay, there's a part 2 of the pledge. We'll do that tomorrow night. I've decided that we'll just keep it as brief as possible during the announcement times. We can do one pledge on Wednesdays and part 2 on Thursdays. And we'll see. If you have a thought or a comment about it, you know how to reach me. Questions@flippingamerica.net. And that's also true if you have any questions about today's presentation or about anything that's coming up or real estate investing. Just send them all to questions@flippingamerica.net. And you can always also call our national comment line. That's 877-55-ROGER, 877-5, wait, I should just write this down, 404-369-1018, and extension 1 or 2, I don't know, sorry, press extension 1, and then you can leave a comment. Boy, I'll get it right in a minute. All right, this is tomorrow night. We got Bill Jennings coming back, and he's going to do his full presentation about getting you money for your business. You know, Chip's going to come on in a minute and talk a little bit about Bay Mountain Capital and hard money loans and the wonderful opportunities that they have there. But I'll just give you a little spoiler alert. It takes money even to do a hard money loan. You've got a great deal out there, and it would be really nice if you had some money. Well, if you've got decent credit, Bill can help you get a lot of money that you can have standing by to use when you find that right deal. All right, so that's tomorrow night, and there's the registration, FARRIA25, bit.ly/FARRIA25. Coming up next Wednesday, I've got Jonathan DeYo, and we're going to talk about the happiness dividend, the peaceful coexistence of prosperity and blissfulness. It can happen. You can do well and have peace of mind. You don't have to be frantic. Jonathan is a specialist at this, and he's going to come on and tell us a little bit about the process, the thinking, the mindset, and talk a little bit about some of the things that he can do for you. Next Thursday night, this is a week from Thursday, I'm going to talk about real estate investing by the numbers. One of my little Rogerisms is the property may look fine, but if the numbers don't work, move on. That's a rule in this business. Now, there's more to deciding to do a property than just the numbers, but if the numbers don't work, it's not going to happen. And so next Thursday night, I'm going to break down. This is a brand new course that we're going to release next week called REI by the Numbers, and you kind of see in the logo there. But in this course, I explain all of the numbers that you need, that you actually need to do real estate well. That's for flipping and also for income properties. Next Thursday night, I'm going to do an overview. I'm going to talk to you about a little bit about what's in the course. I'm going to give the course away to a few people who are on the call, and we'll have a good time. That's a week from Thursday night. All right. This is a part of the Flipping America brand. Flipping America is a show. It's my podcast. It's on 3 times a week, coast to coast on AM/FM stations, and now it's a podcast. It is a podcast in your favorite podcast platform, and also a free app in the App Store. Give it a listen. And would you do me this kindness? Share it with a friend, encourage them to listen, and I would appreciate that very much. This is a networking event. I'm sorry we can't meet in person. And I know some of you around the country in different places, it would be impossible for us to meet in person anyway. With the pandemic, this entire past year, we've been meeting virtually via Zoom. And that's okay, but I really miss being with people and talking with people. So here's what I would like for you to do. Jump into the chat and say hello. Tell us where you're from. And if you've got a deal to sell, put it in there, just like a regular haves and wants at a real estate networking meeting. If you've got something else that you need, that you're looking for, put it in the chat. And you guys talk to each other as we're going along here, like you're passing notes during school. But go ahead and talk with each other as if it were a networking meeting. Get to know the people around you. Do some deals together. Somebody wrote in to me this morning. I pulled this out of the questions box, wanting to know if there's anybody out there that wants to join with them on a deal on one of the bore houses. She wants to do one of these bore houses that we talk about every Tuesday night, and but she doesn't quite have enough money to take one down today, but she would like to split one with somebody. See, that's the kind of thing. If you want to get a deal done, do that. Put it in the chat and say hello to each other. Then if you have questions as we go along, use the Q&A tab. I've got it open right over here, and it will pop up, and I'll see the Q&A. I don't see the chat so well, but I'll see the Q&A, and we'll make sure that your questions get answered as we go. All right? So on to the topic at hand. I think Jonathan is over there. Joel. Jonathan's next week. Joel is over there, and he's ready to go. Let me see. Let me hit a button right here. There we go. That button right there. And Joel, let me bring you in. All right. Hopefully I'm doing it. I don't know if I'm doing it. Hey, Joel, can you hear me? Wave at me.
I can hear you, yeah.
Yeah. All right. I don't know.
It doesn't look like you can see me, but I can sure hear you.
Yeah. I don't know. I figured out what I got to do. I got to assign you.
There we go.
There you go.
Hey, how are you?
Right. Great to see you, man. All right.
Hey, thanks. Thanks for having me here. I got to tell you, I'm a CPA, and listening to your intro, I could use a little happiness dividend right about now in the middle of busy season.
Well, I'm actually intrigued about it. It sounds a little woo-woo to me, He talks about the mindfulness of money. But you know what? I'm interested in learning anything all the time, anything that I can. And so I'm happy to have this guy on the phone. Let's see now. I kind of got ahead of myself, and your name is supposed to be showing up there. There it is. I kind of got ahead of myself a little bit. First of all, somebody put in the chat that you can hear Joel, because occasionally there's a button here I need to hit. I'm waiting. Okay, yeah, you can hear. All right. Well, Joel, if you can hang on for just a minute, I've got one of our sponsors here, and I was so excited to talk to you. I dove in and kind of ignored him, but Chip Cagle is here with Bay Mountain Capital. Chip, are you there? All right. Good to see you. Good to hear you. I don't know if Joel, can you hear Chip?
I can't, but that's okay. Keep going.
All right. Well, I'll come back to you in just a minute. Hang in there. Chip, talk to the group. Yeah, everybody in the Zoom can hear you. Oh, hey, Chip, excuse me for interrupting you, but let's do this. Why don't I bring you on as an interview guest like Joel? Because what I'm realizing is right now, not only can Joel not hear you, but anybody that's watching the live stream on Facebook and YouTube is just getting dead air right now. So do you have that interview link? Yeah. Yeah, because I want everybody to hear the story, including the people that are listening on the, okay, there it is. Copy link, and I'll text it to you right now, my man. There we go. Okay, yeah, hold that thought. Well, maybe I'll get it to you. All right, everybody, I'm sorry about this. I get ideas as we go along sometimes, and now my texting is not working great. Hey, Chip, send me a text. That way you'll be at the top of my list, and I can just send this to you. All right. Joel.
Yes.
How's it going, man?
It's going.
How's your
It's
weather
going.
out there? Are you in Salt Lake?
So I'm just south of Salt Lake City. Yeah, it's the weather's actually pretty good. Snowed all last week, so if you're a skier, you're in heaven. But most of these days, I just see the inside of my office. But it is sunny today, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, well, it's sunny and 72 here in Atlanta today. It's
That's not horrible.
we're entering into. I tell people around the world. Okay, let me text this, Chip. I tell people around the world that Atlanta has 6 months of the best weather on Earth. 3 in the spring and 3 in the fall, and summers
Yeah,
are kind of hot, and
yeah,
winters, it's a little hit or miss proposition. The thing about the wintertime here is maybe you can golf, maybe you can ride your motorcycle, or maybe not. But
yeah.
anyway, so glad to see it. You're there in Salt Lake City. I was actually out there. I didn't meet you. I was out there in your office about a month ago.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
I met Wendy.
Yeah. So we have, if you're an outdoors person, you'd really love it here. We definitely have 4 seasons. So, lots of lakes, Zions National Parks, lots of ski resorts, lots of things to do in the mountains, biking and running and so forth. So yeah, if you like the outdoors, Utah's a great place to be.
Man, that's I was just out there for a few days, and the scenery is fantastic. I loved it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I talked to my wife about packing up and moving out there. Maybe not, in the next week or two, but still. All right.
Right.
So let's dive in now. Got the
Okay.
thoughts together. All right. So the first thing is, what is Tax Hive?
So Tax Hive, let me tell you how it kind of formed. So I graduated, a long time ago with my master's from BYU. I went to work for Ernst & Young, and I was at Ernst & Young for about 10 years. And I worked on large multinational companies, and I really enjoyed my time there. I kind of consider that a continuation of my education from college. But what I realized is that I enjoyed working with individuals much more so than I did with these large companies. So back in the early 2000s, I left and we started forming a firm, and the objective was to be able to bring services that the Big Four, such as Ernst & Young, would give to companies to the individuals. So I brought some of my EY compadres with me, and we kind of formed this group. And then as we kind of moved along, we got in touch with Kevin OLeary, and he really liked what we were doing. So we kind of teamed up to form Tax Hive, again, to deliver kind of the large accounting big firm services to individuals that probably would not have access to those types of services, based on just kind of overall business volume. So that was the idea behind Tax Hive. It's worked really well since we implemented it, and I'm really enjoying it and meeting lots of people across the nation. I find it extremely fulfilling to help people kind of reduce any kind of tax burden that they may have.
All right, I got to ask you this. When you're picking out a name for your business, Tax something or another, how did you come up with Hive?
Hive, well, I don't know, just kind of the communal aspect of getting together with people. I like that idea that it's kind of bringing you into I don't want to say group, so to speak, but bringing you into our service kind of family as we look at it, and then being able to learn from you and pass that on to other people, and just kind of have more of a community feel, rather like you're a part of something more so than, hey, I have this professional, I see them once a year. Maybe I sit down with someone for 30 minutes. I mean, from my perspective, if that's all you're doing with a tax person or professional or whoever they may be, is sitting down with them once a year, you're kind of missing the whole boat of what goes into tax planning and how you can save money throughout the year. Because really, the compliance aspect, so I say compliance, that means your tax returns. So the compliance aspect of tax should be a fairly painless, no anxiety process, because all the work has already been done. January through December, you have a kind of a really good idea because you've been working with someone of where you're at. And so, come into my office, sit down, then it's a chance for us just to talk and see what's going on, and that sort of thing. But really, it's kind of that January through December that is important from my aspect.
Well, yeah, and I was going to ask about that, but back on the Tax Hive, just the word, I guess that was an easy domain to get. You probably didn't have a whole lot of people. That domain was available when you went to get it, right?
Right. Yeah. Sometimes it is difficult to find a domain nowadays, right? You try to think of something that you think would be great, and you find that it's that someone has already taken it and it costs you $5,000 to buy the domain because it's sitting somewhere. Yeah. But fortunately for us, that was available, so we ended up going with it.
All right. So now let's go with you already jumping into my next question.
Okay.
Most of us out here on this call, we've got our tax services, we've got our CPA, and we know that if we wanted to, we could go sit down with the guy. Well, not anytime, especially not during tax season. But you're out there. What sets Tax Hive apart? What makes the difference? What gives you the edge?
Well, I'd say especially when it comes to real estate, just background. I'm a real estate investor myself. So I'm not just a CPA. I'm actually in the trenches doing real estate, just like probably much of your group. I own commercial buildings. I'm in multifamily syndications. I do flips. So I do all that stuff. And for me, that's where the fun is. I mean, I love helping people from a CPA standpoint, but if I got to be honest, with you, going and signing on a piece of paper that you just acquired a property or something actually gives me quite a rush, so to speak. So I like that aspect of it. And because many of us here at the firm are in real estate personally, it allows us to kind of view it from both the CPA standpoint and the owner standpoint. And that allows us to come up with kind of strategies maybe that would help people that others may not be aware of, or others may not be quite in tune with. So I'll say that while I think it's an unfair statement to say that all CPAs are created equal, what I will say is that not all CPAs choose to practice in every area. So some CPAs like the earned income credits and kind of revolving around helping those types of clientele. Others like maybe they're strictly into inventory warehouses, e-commerce, those types of clientele. And here at Tax Hive, we are really into real estate. Probably, again, most likely because I am into real estate, and I've been into real estate for 20 some odd years, and I really enjoy it. So it kind of helped us to focus some of our energies from a research and just a standpoint of providing good, solid foundational advice when it comes to our clientele and those who deal with real estate.
Okay, well, I've got to ask, because really what we're talking about here is we're proposing that people on this call may want to look to you and hire Tax Hive to be their CPA. So if we're in the hiring interview now, I want to ask you, how are you going to save me money?
How am I going to save you money? Well, first, I'm going to help you organize your records. Sometimes people will come and ask, hey, Joel, I need what's the one thing, the singular thing that's going to help me save money on my taxes? Like this one trick that may be out there that I just do one thing and it's going to save me. And I always come back and say, listen, if your records are in order, you're 80% there already, right? Because if your records are in order, it's going to allow someone like me to come in and look at it and give you advice based on what it is that I'm seeing. It also is going to allow you from a real estate person to make proper and better financial decisions, because you know the amount of money that's coming in, how you're spending that money, maybe where changes need to be made, investments that you could possibly make. We're going to look at strategies for, equipment or hard assets that you may want to purchase. But really, it's going to start with your records. And I want to give you a lot of education from that standpoint to help you keep track of the money that's coming in and going out, so that when it comes to the compliance aspect, we can do it right. We have a big educational library that we have, and then we try to instruct people. So again, I kind of fall back to that. If you're just seeing someone once a year, it's not doing you any good. Really, you should be learning and keeping in touch and being educated by your tax or any professional, really, that you deal with, in order for you to make better financial decisions as you kind of go and operate your personal business.
So let me ask you this. If I hire you, how often am I going to see you?
Oh, you can see me anytime you want.
Really?
We do Zoom calls. I mean, I won't say the nice thing. Okay. The thing about 2020 is that businesses needed to pivot in order to service their clientele better, right? If you were stuck kind of going down a road and deciding that I'm going to stay in this road, I'm going to continue down the same way that I've always done. In my mind, that's kind of a recipe for failure, because 2020 put us into a new, not only personal environment, but also business environment, as you saw different things that happened across the country. And from our standpoint, what we ended up doing to pivot to enhance kind of our relationship with our clients is we came up with tons of education on how we communicate with our clients based on people largely either being at home or on the road, or being more open to things like what we're doing right now, right?
Yeah, right now.
Either Zoom or communications this way in order to kind of transmit that information. That's what we are kind of pivoted towards.
You might end up doing a Zoom call with somebody in your same town.
Exactly. I mean, they could be 5 miles away and we're still bringing them on Zoom. In fact, we have, largely my clients are probably 99% of them live outside of Utah. But the ones that live in Utah, they may be 10 miles away, but we're still Zooming and doing those sorts of things, even though they're so close, just because in the current environment, it may make a little more sense to do things like that.
So would we have regular time set?
So we can set up regular times. You can call and ask questions. You can email questions. We're kind of we're more of a, I don't want to say boutique firm, but we're a smaller, firm that because of that Hive aspect tries to treat people more like family than clients. And so when you have issues or problems, we're kind of an open-ended. As often as you want to call us and contact us, you are able to. And from my standpoint, that's the good thing. One, it allows us to create a relationship with you, that once a year I think would be more difficult to have. And two, it also makes, if I could get a little selfish now, it makes it easier from my standpoint, because if I know exactly what's going on with you, I don't need, 4 hours to get up to speed when it comes to doing your compliance work, because I already know what's going on. So the fact that we can have regular communications really isn't only an asset for you, but it's one for me as well.
Yeah. So I can reach out to you if I'm getting ready to buy something a little different. I can reach out to you and find out maybe how
you reach out to me. Yeah, say, hey, I'm thinking about buying this F-150 pickup with a 6-inch lift and these massive tires. What in relation to my construction or flipping bit or whatever it is that I'm doing? Do you think that's a good idea? And what do you think it will do for my taxes? Yeah, let's have a 10-minute conversation on it.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking about leasing a GLS.
Oh yeah,
should I buy it?
That's not a horrible thing. Yeah, we can talk about how you may be able to push that into your business and get some tax benefit for it. Now, let Uncle Sam pay for part of that.
One of the things that I'm good at is making a lot of activity. That personality type is also not going to be good at keeping all the records organized as well as it should be.
Right.
What I do with my current CPA is I just shove stuff in their direction and let them do the books and everything. Do you guys have a bookkeeping service?
So we do have a bookkeeping service. Yes, we do. Because again, I always think the best way to save money on your taxes is proper bookkeeping. Then you can come in and implement safe harbor elections and how do we write off assets and all those things. But your baseline kind of what you need in order to have effective conversations with your tax professional is a good set of books. And so we do have bookkeeping services here as well. Yes.
Okay. We've got a good question that just came in from somebody that's in the listening audience. What do we do to set up the first meeting to start an organizing or reorganizing our records?
So largely that will probably be based on sending us kind of bank statements. We need to know what kind of cash transactions have happened. That first initial meeting will largely be based on, okay, tell us about your business. What are you doing? How many transactions do you have per month? How are you separating? Here's a big one, Roger. Are you separating your personal from your business activity? That's a huge one. I see people love to commingle things because they think it's easy. And then they go off and they use all these apps like Cash App or Venmo, and those things aren't necessarily translating back into your bank statement. So a large part of that initial meeting is how are you spending money? Where is that money coming in and going out from? Then we would ask for those documents and we kind of start to piecemeal and put together your books from that standpoint.
Okay. All right. What are some of the typical deductions that you see that small business owners in general and real estate investors in particular miss?
Probably, this is going to sound weird, probably one of the biggest ones, and everyone's heard of it, is just simply the home office. I go out and I look at IRS statistics on how many people are taking the home office, and everyone knows about it, but rarely do people actually utilize it. And I think it was around 21, 22% of self-employed individuals utilize the home office deduction. They're missing it. They're simply not doing it. And it could be that they're afraid of it. It could be because, you're converting possibly part of a home that you own into business use, but there are other ways to deduct your home office that don't require depreciation or recapture and those types of things. But really, one is looking at your home office. The other one is a lot of your electronics that you may buy within your household, right? I mean, how many tablets do you have? Like if you were to turn around, how many tablets are around your home that you may be utilizing for business, and cell phones? Mileage is a huge one. Keeping track of those types of things in your office supplies, your internet. From a rental standpoint, if I'm renting something, sometimes people think that only something that goes within my rental property itself, meaning if I have a repair or the taxes on that property or the insurance on that property, go into the expense for it. But you've got to think of all the ancillary expenses that you have outside of just simply owning that rental property that allows you to service that property. And so you may have a lot of expenses that you may be missing from that front as well. Let me give you three real quick ones if that's okay.
Sure.
General term or ideas about how people can deduct taxes. One is I like to say that you can defer it, spend it, or connect it. And deferring means, are you utilizing retirement plans within your particular organization to defer taxes, right? We take a great deduction when I'm self-employed. If I've set up like a solo 401k, for example, I can, depending on how old you are, let's just average it out and say I can contribute up to $60,000 if I have enough income. So am I utilizing that tax strategy to reduce the amount of taxes that I have now, put money away, and then utilize that in the future? Spending money is another big one. People think, I got to go buy certain things for my business. And when I'm spending for my business, I get a tax deduction, right? Which means I'm going to pay less in tax. So the last half of the year, oftentimes I would always suggest you got to really have your books up to date so you know how much income you have, and then start looking at, okay, what may I possibly need for my business that I can go buy now, get a tax deduction for it, and hopefully that produces income possibly in the next year. And finally, connecting it is like a little bit of what I said earlier. Some of the things that you're going to have or own aren't necessarily particular to someone being self-employed. Like if I'm not self-employed and I have a W-2, I have a great job, I love my job, I want to stay there until I retire, I'm still going to own a car, I'm still going to have a computer at my house, I'm still going to have tablets, I'm still going to go out to eat, still maybe do some traveling, still maybe have all those things regardless of whether or not I'm self-employed. But now, to the extent I can grab those things, start utilizing for my business, now I can take a deduction for them. And again, I can save money. So maybe in general terms, deferring it, spending it, or connecting it, you can look at kind of that concept to helping to reduce your taxes.
Okay. All right. That's good. All right. So now I'm kind of speaking for a lot of people in this position, and I'm not just talking about me, but I am talking about me too. I have big plans. Can you help me make those plans with the tax consequences in mind? Business growth, other opportunities, asset protection, tax shelters, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're looking at that, I guess I would think of that in terms of kind of business optimization, right? So the tax advice that I give you on day one, let's say, Roger's just starting out. Hey, I want to get into real estate. I don't own anything yet. I'm going to start spending some money in order to achieve my goals. My tax, recommendations would be different for that person than the person that owns 15 single family homes, wants to get into multi-door investments, or possibly wants to invest in syndications, those types of things, or start flipping properties. That person I'm going to have a different set of advice for, depending on the growth curve of their particular business. And so when I'm looking at business optimization, we may talk about entities, for example, and how that impacts your business, and what are the tax consequences or benefits from having possible different types of entities depending on what it is that you do. We may, again, talk about those retirement plans, and then talk about spending money and how you're doing it. So really, the arc of your business the planning is going to change based on what point of that arc you're at that particular moment.
Now, if somebody wanted to do business with you, would they be talking with Joel, or would they be talking with, you have other people, right?
So yeah, so we have a firm, and we have a great group of guys and gals, for that matter. A lot, we have a bunch that come from Ernst & Young, like I said, and what we try to do is kind of obviously I can't service all clients. Simply, there's not enough hours in a day for me to do it. But we have CPAs that are here that obviously I interact with, and the other management individuals that are here interact with on a daily basis. And the way that we interact within the firm is we are very we don't work on an island. Let's say that. So that's probably could be where that Hive aspect comes into place as well, because of how integrated we are from a firm standpoint, with everyone kind of working together, regardless of whether or not a particular person is your client or someone else's client. It's very much kind of a group dynamic here. So while you may not speak with me individually, or I do lots of this type of stuff. I talk to tons of people all day long. I would like to think that no matter who you're speaking with at our particular firm, you're going to get the best advice that you can.
So for someone who's just starting out, and I'm watching some questions come in here. For someone who's just starting out, are you too much, or should they contact you?
No,
right
I
at the
don't think
beginning?
so. I mean, again, we're not. We may come from Ernst & Young, but we don't charge Ernst & Young rates. So no, we're not too expensive, I wouldn't think. And I also like. I like the idea of team stacking when it comes to your view of how you choose to operate your business. And I think the earlier you start to team stack, the better. And what I mean by that is, let me give you an example that kind of will not maybe, tell you some of my shortcomings, if you don't mind. So when we first left Ernst & Young and came over, I'm an accountant, so I'm analytically looking at everything. My wife says that I'm cheap, but I just say that I'm analytically working, looking at everything. And if I can save a buck, I'm going to try to save a buck. So when we came here, I said, you know what? Rather than buy my computer from Dell, I'm going to build my computer, because I know I can do that. It's going to save me $200, right? So I started building computers for the various people in the firm, which led me to building a server, which led me to building my phone network out, which led me to trying to horribly and miserably fail at doing a website. But what happened was, every time a computer or anything would go wrong from inside the firm during busy season, guess who they would call? They would call me. And then all of a sudden, I'm spending 3 or 4 hours trying to figure out how to fix whatever it is that went wrong. And what I'm not doing during those 3 or 4 hours is billing or making money, right? What it is that people pay me to do. And eventually I realized that the time and effort I'm spending doing all this other stuff is nowhere near the, what I am losing from not putting time towards what it is that's making me money. So now I have people to deal with phones. I have people to deal with everything, right? That simply allows me to do compliance and planning work for my particular clients, and that's how I make my money. So I always tell people to look at how you're stacking your team, even from the very beginning. If you're not in the, if you don't do taxes for a living, you'll never see as many tax issues or complications or doing all the research as someone inside a firm would do. And so spend the time making money, and then choose how you particularly want to team stack your organization that allows you then to go out there and make as much money as you possibly can.
Right. And your tax advisor and preparer should be a part of your team. And I think
should be a part of your team, and you should view them as that. Yes.
Yeah. Right from the very beginning. That's what I think. If you guys are willing to do it. Now we've got some more questions. Rodlin wants to know, do we need to set up with QuickBooks?
So again, this is coming from an accountant, and you always got to put that into a context, but I love QuickBooks. QuickBooks is a great tool. QuickBooks allows you to immediately share something with me where I can see all your transactions, all your records, everything that you have done. I know that sometimes people can be, if they're maybe not comfortable utilizing QuickBooks because maybe they don't have a background in it, but QuickBooks is only as complicated as you want it to be. It can be a very simple, just kind of cash transactional management system. But I would always kind of impress on people to use something, right? When I first started Ernst & Young, I mean, there were the 7-column days of trying to keep track of things. Right now, we have not only QuickBooks, but even Excel is something. We have all these apps that you can utilize in order to keep track of how you're spending more money and organize things. For example, I have an Amex business card, right, that I use often for business transactions. And as soon as I go and charge something, immediately that thing goes into my app. I can take a picture of my receipt, and Amex is kind enough to keep that logged against that particular charge for 7 years, which is what I need from a tax documentational standpoint. So I'm always going to tell people utilize electronics, utilize tech in order, again, to save time and free up some of where you should be focusing, which is making money.
All right. Now, if somebody wants to get more information and like, can they schedule a call with you? Where would they go?
Yeah, you bet. So you can go to taxhive.com. You can schedule a call there. We'd love to talk to you kind of individually on what are the particulars of your business. I mean, when we come on here, we're kind of giving global kind of answers and talking through some things. But if you want some particulars, you say, hey, this is what I have going on, then yeah, we'd love to talk to you. And even if nothing else, then to get some free information, we're happy to do it.
So taxhive.com, I just put it right there on the screen, and they can schedule a talk with you. Now, someone is asking, Eric wants to know about the type of fees. You've got different plans. Should they just go to the website? You want to discuss that?
Yeah. So or you can talk to someone, because we don't have one fee fits all, because every single person is different. Some people, like I said, have 15 rental properties. Someone else maybe has one, and I'm not going to charge the person that has one the same as I would charge the person that has 15. That's just, that's not something that's acceptable. So, so it's different pricing based on the activity that you have going on in your business.
All right. So now, if you guys go to taxhive.com, make sure when you talk to somebody that you heard about it on the Flipping America show. Okay. So that way they know and we get credit and they'll want to come back again. Now, you guys do some estate planning as well and asset protection.
We do at Tax Hive. Yes. It's not, and I don't particularly do it. We have lawyers and individuals that we kind of separate legal from tax, right? So we have a legal part that will deal with estate and entity setup and those types of things. Yeah, but we do have those services.
All right. And that's actually, I've got a tentative schedule with somebody coming up in 6 weeks or so to talk about asset protection. And that's
great.
Yeah. So somebody else from Tax Hive is going to be with us. I don't know who yet, but certain down over there. All right. So last question that I have, what's Kevin OLeary like in person?
He's a good guy. He's a great guy. He's much more down to earth than what the Shark Tank, I guess TV show would say that he is. Yeah. So he's just a regular guy. Actually, he's just been very successful. When he talks, you listen because of that past success and everything he does. He kind of almost commands that kind of what is he saying kind of thing in person. But he's a really nice guy. He's a great guy.
All right.
Hey, can I say one thing though, really quickly? I know this probably isn't. I just want to give you 5 quick things because of COVID-19 and the pandemic and the Act and the CARES Act that have passed. Just that if you're going to go sit down with your tax person, that you're just simply aware of. The first one is if you did not get your full stimulus payment, there's the recovery rebate credit that will allow you through your tax return to get what you didn't get paid, or if you didn't get paid at all and were deserving of it. Earned income credits could still be higher from 19 to 20. You get to pick your year, whichever is the highest. If you're self-employed, again, forced to work at home, look at that home office deduction. If you had a retirement account distribution, talk with your CPA about how you could possibly get out of those 10% penalty withdrawals, or actually pay it back and not be taxed at all. And finally, be aware of family leave tax credit and the sick leave tax credit, of how you can get up to $15,000 worth of tax credit based on how COVID-19 impacted your family when you are self-employed. So just be aware of those few things. When you sit down with your tax person, I'm not going to go through all the details, but just bring them up.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. That's good to know. And I don't know if we're going to remember all that.
I know I went through it pretty quick, but
yeah, somebody should have been typing all that and put it in the chat. Anyway, all right. Well, that's great, man. We appreciate your time today, Joel. We really do. And what we do on a Zoom call is to show our appreciation. The way we applaud is we put 7s in the chat. And so everybody put your 7s in the chat right now. When I see the 7s, I'm going to hit the applause button. Yep, there we go. Keep them coming.
Oh, I appreciate it.
All right. Yep. All right. So, All right. Joel, Jensen, Tax Hive, taxhive.com. Thank you so much for joining us today. Look forward to talking with you guys again in the very near future. And we appreciate you. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate you having me on.
All right. Okay, now let me get Chip in here. Chip Cagle is here. Chip, welcome to the Flipping America. Now we got
Hey,
an
Roger.
echo. I don't know
Say it
what.
again.
Yeah.
Let me try this. All right, now can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. And whatever that was
Oh,
doing was good.
I can't hear you because I just muted the speaker from the Zoom.
Oh,
Anyway, I'll assume that you can hear me and we don't have that feedback. So as I was saying earlier, usually I'm on here and I'm giving you all these percentages and everything, and I thought I'd mix it up a little bit this time and tell you about one we're closing this week. So we've got a borrower that found a property for $50,000. So I have people all the time come to me and say, I can't find any properties. There are properties out there. He's buying it for $50,000. His rehab budget's a little over $76,000. Now, because his rehab budget is higher than his purchase price, we're not going to be able to do the 100% loan that I'm always talking about on here. We're going to be able to do a 90% loan. So he is able to put 10% down and do this deal. Because he's experienced, he'll be at 9.9% interest, 2 points to close, and he's got a 12-month loan. So I was saying he bought it for 50. He's got 76 in it. He thought it was going to be worth 220,000, but the appraisal came back at 225,000. So he's right a little over 50% of the ARV of the appraisal. So he's in great shape to make a really nice return. He's going to make somewhere like around 80 grand on this deal. So that's a great way to make some money. And there's still some deals like that out there.
That's 80 grand before holding costs. Oh, you can't hear me. Turn on your ears. All right. We got to figure out a way for Chip to be able to hear me, but that's 80 grand before. Yeah, I don't know how to eliminate that. Let's see. 80 grand before holding costs.
Yeah, if I turn off my speaker, I can't hear you, but that causes feedback, I guess.
Yeah, we're getting some kind of a loop. I don't know. So anyway, all right, that's great. And so BayMountainCapital.com, and your email address is chip@BayMountainCapital.com. Yeah. And let's see, I'm going to text Chip and tell him, because since he can't hear me, put contact info in chat. There we go. All right. So thank you, Chip. Thank you. We'll see you. Appreciate it. And we're back. Okay. So thank you, Chip. Appreciate that. So this guy's going to make 80 grand before his holding costs, and that ain't bad. What I wanted to ask Chip, I don't know if you're backtracking and hearing me now. Okay. Where is that property? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I haven't been optimistic about finding deals like that around in Atlanta. So, okay. All right. Well, this is our lunchtime meeting, and by design, we want to keep these to around 45 minutes because we know that you're doing this around lunch hour. But let me bring in one more person. Eric Moore's on the call, I think. Eric, tell us about what Bay Mountain's got going on out there in Texas. Yeah, I can. Thank you, Eric. And listen, everybody, one of the things I take away from that is this guy did not go to a hotel room and pay somebody $30,000 to $50,000 to learn how to flip houses. I find that business model somewhat reprehensible, not particularly because of the cost. 30 to 50,000 is great because they're going to teach you how to do something where you can make 500,000 or more a year. That's a much better deal than a college education. Think about that. However, the fact is, not everybody is really set up and equipped to be a house flipper, and not most of the people that pay that money don't do it. And the really sad thing is, the people that are paying that money are pulling that money out of their retirement accounts. They're borrowing extra money from new credit cards and so forth. That part I find just reprehensible. And that's why I don't like it. I don't do that. I will teach you how to flip houses, but I'm not going to charge you that. And here is why. You need to know a little bit, and then you need to go do. And I promise you, you will learn as you go. This is not rocket surgery. Just learn a little bit and go and do it. Make an offer. And, if you get one of those offers accepted, come find somebody like me and get some help. And that's how you're going to move forward. If you're ever going to do it, you have to do it. All right? That's the final word for today, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I hope that you'll check out Tax Hive at taxhive.com, and I hope we'll see you again here tomorrow night. Okay, bye for now.